Hello everyone, this is Ravindra Babu. Welcome back to my channel Silver 90s Bionet. In the last video, we were discussing a set of proteins and enzymes required for DNA replication. But it was incomplete where we completed only DNA polymerases. In this part of video today, we are going to talk about the remaining proteins and enzymes required for DNA replication in prokaryotes. Among those, one is DNA A proteins. The function of this DNA A proteins is to recognize the origin of replication sites, origin of replication sites on DNA molecule which is going to be involved in replication. Actually, the replication process does not initiate randomly at any place in DNA molecule, but it requires a certain specific regions on the DNA. Those are specific regions where the process of replication initiates on DNA are termed as origin of replication sites. Say this is a DNA molecule, double-stranded DNA molecule which is going to be involved in replication. This DNA molecule consists a specific region where the process of replication gets initiated. This is what we call origin of replication site. Simply we can call ORI-C site. And this origin of replication site is rich in AT base pairs. These are mostly rich in AT base pairs. The reason is the AT base pair consists of only 2 hydrogen bonds, so that it would become very easy to unwind the DNA molecule by cleaving this less number of hydrogen bonds during the process of initiation of replication. Because of this reason, the origin of replication sites generally consists of mostly AT base pairs. Cloning of desired gene through rDNA technology requires vectors. The vectors are the DNA molecules which consist of origin of replication sites. Actually, the desired gene or gene of interest to which what we want to insert in a vector doesn't have any origin of replication site, so that it cannot replicate itself. So that we are inserting our gene of interest into a vector where the origin of replication site is there. To this rDNA molecule, nothing but a vector with the inserted gene of our interest whenever transformed into a host cell where it undergoes a replication, so that along with the vector DNA, the gene of interest whatever we insert into that also undergo replication, so that the gene of interest gets cloned or amplified. This is what we simply call gene cloning. This is what the importance of origin of replication sites in DNA replication naturally and in vitro conditions like rDNA technology. Let us come to the function of these DNA A proteins in the DNA replication here. What I told, the DNA A proteins, they recognizes origin of replication sites on the DNA molecule going to involve in replication, and besides recognizing the origin of replication sites, the DNA A proteins also involves in cleaving the hydrogen bonds of origin of replication sites, so that by the action of this DNA A proteins a replication bubble will be formed, where this replication bubble consists of unpaired nucleotides. These are the unpaired nucleotides formed after the action of DNA A proteins, and this entire structure is said to be as replication bubble. What we call this? Replication bubble. So there are two functions of DNA A proteins. One is recognition of origin of replication site and the cleaving of hydrogen bonds in the origin of replication site, thereby formation of a replication bubble during the initial process of DNA replication. And the second type of enzymes or proteins required for DNA replication are DNA B proteins. DNA B proteins. These are otherwise called helicases. Helicases. The function of this DNA B proteins or helicases is to unwind the DNA molecule by cleaving the hydrogen bonds beyond the replication bubble. Here I am taking only this half of this DNA molecule going to involve in replication. Let us see the action of helicases. These helicases, they unwind the DNA by cleaving the hydrogen bonds beyond the replication bubble, thereby they forms a replication fork. So this is the enzyme helicase, which goes on further from this replication bubble by cleaving hydrogen bonds, so that it forms what? A Y-shaped structure. That is what we call a replication fork. This is the replication fork, which consists an extended single-stranded stretches of DNA. This is a single-stranded extended stretch of DNA 3' to 5' and 5' to 3'. So in this way, the helicases, they moves on further by cleaving the hydrogen bonds, thereby they unwind the DNA and finally forms a replication fork. And the next one is SSBPs. Nothing but single strand binding proteins. The name itself indicates that these single stranded binding proteins, they gets binds to the single strands of DNA of replication fork like this. The binding of the single stranded binding proteins to this extended single stranded stretches of replication fork is a cooperative process. That means binding of a single stranded binding proteins to these single strands initiates, accelerates the further binding of remaining proteins faster. And when we come to function of this single stranded binding proteins, they stabilizes this extended single stranded stretches of replication fork by preventing the recoiling of these two strands. And along with this, they protect the single stranded stretches of replication fork from the action of nucleases. After happening of these events, the DNA polymerases comes and binds to these extended single strands of replicating DNA and initiates the process of replication of new DNA in 5' to 3' direction on this strand from outside to inside. On this strand also they synthesizes a new strand in 5' to 3' direction from inside to outside. This is a detailed mechanism of DNA replication we will come across later in the next video. Let us move on to another type of enzymes or proteins required for DNA replication. Those are topoisomerases. As the helicases moves on further unwinding the DNA by cleaving hydrogen bonds, the double-stranded or double helical DNA which is present in front of these helicases may undergo supercoilings like this. Whenever the DNA undergoes heavy supercoiling, that leads to creation of tension on DNA molecule. That created tension may leads to breakdown of this DNA molecule. So this not to be happen during the process of replication, so that in order to prevent the breakage of DNA due to a supercoiling, in turn due to the action of helicases, the process of replication is having a special type of enzymes. Those enzymes are called topoisomerases. The function of these topoisomerases is to relieve the tension created on the double helical DNA in front of helicases due to supercoiling. So in order to relieve that, these topoisomerases, they forms a nicks and again seals the nicks. By nicking and sealing, they reduce the tension on the DNA molecule, thereby the DNA gets protected. It won't undergo any breakage during the process of replication. So that because of this reason, the topoisomerases are otherwise called nicking and sealing enzymes, nicking and sealing enzymes. There are two types of topoisomerases present in both prokaryotes and eukaryotes. One is type 1 topoisomerases and type 2 topoisomerases. The type 1 topoisomerases forms single stranded nicks on DNA molecule and seals that single stranded nicks on DNA molecule, thereby they release the tension created on a DNA molecule. Nothing but they cleaves only single strand of double helical DNA. But type 2 topoisomerases forms nicks and seals the nicks in double strands. Nothing but a type 2 topoisomerases forms nicks in both the strands of DNA and seals these nicks in both the strands of DNA. The type 1 topoisomerases relieves only negative supercoilings on a DNA molecule. They release only negative supercoiling on DNA molecules, but the type 2 topoisomerases release both negative supercoils and positive supercoils formed on a DNA molecule during the unwinding process. This type 1 topoisomerases, they do not require ATP. It is a passive process. But the type 2 topoisomerases requires ATP. They requires ATP. So this is an active process. The type 2 topoisomerases are otherwise called gyrases. These type 2 topoisomerases, they also involves in removal of interlocks formed after the completion of replication in a prokaryotic DNA. So this is a prokaryotic DNA which is a covalently closed circular DNA, you know very well, right? This is a covalently closed circular double stranded DNA molecule of prokaryotes. Whenever it involves in replication, both the strands act as a template. So this strand synthesizes a new daughter DNA molecule like this, and this parental strand also synthesizes a new daughter DNA molecule, DNA strand like this. So this would become what? A daughter DNA. What is this? A daughter DNA molecule. And this is what? A parental DNA. Parental DNA. Here the daughter DNA whichever formed here, it must come out of the parental DNA. Okay. Actually it doesn't happen because they interlocked with each other like this. This is the parental DNA, right, which is a double helical covalently closed circular DNA, and this is a daughter DNA, right? What happened here? The both are interlocked with each other. In these situations, the type 2 topoisomerases or gyrases comes into action, which cleaves the two strands of a DNA molecule, thereby they removes the interlocks, nothing but they separates the parental DNA and daughter DNA like this. This is the parental DNA and this is the daughter DNA after the removal of interlock by the action of type 2 topoisomerases. And the last type of enzyme that involves in DNA replication is DNA ligases. The function of these enzymes to ligate the two strands of DNA by forming a phosphodiester bond. between the 5' hydroxyl group of one nucleotide and 3' hydroxyl group of another nucleotide by using a phosphate group.